Hello Talisman viewers, welcome back to Let's Play Talisman. We've had 2 whole games of Talisman now, start to finish. The first one, the AI-controlled assassin won, and last time we actually managed to swipe a victory as the warrior from out of the hands of the priest and the wizard who were making a run for it. The troll wasn't really a threat, thanks to his determination to have a shopping expedition at the last minute. So, although we won, it's not over. I just like playing Talisman, and it has plenty of replayability in it, so for the time being we're going to continue. I don't know how long I'm going to run this whole series for, but we're definitely going to have at least one more run through this. So, new game. Okay. So, these were... 2 of these were the characters we had last time. I don't know why it's reset to chosen characters this time, when... the tradition, as I've mentioned, is to go with random characters. So, I'm going to change them all to random... No, you didn't mean to change that to local player. AI player, that's the one. Random, yes. These were all set to random by default previously, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay. Ooh, Reaper expansion pack. What's that about? Unclear. That's one for another time, though. Let's get started. Okay. Apparently we're still getting instruction messages, even though we've played several times before, but that's alright. So, we have a selection of characters we haven't seen before. We do have the monk here as player 3. We've seen him before, and he was a right pain. Incidentally, I'm playing with a smaller window today, so if you hear me going, what does that card say? I can't quite tell. That's why. I've reduced the resolution, so it's a smaller window, because previously it was such a large window that I couldn't quite see the whole thing. Anyway, the other characters who we haven't seen before are Player 2 as the Minstrel. Animals and dragons will not attack him. Actually, I remember that from the board game. That was always a really handy ability to have, because dragons are so tough, and this guy doesn't have much in the way of combat ability. If you don't attack an animal, you may attempt to charm it. Roll a die. If you get higher than the animal's strength, it joins you as a follower and adds its strength to yours in battle. But you can only use 1 charmed animal per battle. Or you can take the maiden or princess followers from any character you land on. This is an issue. This guy's just too charming. Of course, those abilities aren't ours, but I do like to have a quick look through to see what threats I'm up against. We've also got the Druid. You start with 1 spell. You don't draw a spell after you cast one, though, so he doesn't have the same benefits as the Wizard had. But he does start with a spell. You can change your alignment at will. So that's handy, because so many locations and objects are alignment specific. I mean, not loads, but there's a reasonable number. When you land on the woods, you may gain your full complement of spells. So that's handy for him. There are several wood spaces scattered around. And we are the Dwarf. So here's our batch of skills. You don't have to roll the die in the crags or the chasm, unless you wish to, which is not a huge deal, but it does give us a free pass on those spaces if we don't have a better option. You can evade characters and creatures in the hills, which is definitely handy. And you can add 1 to your die roll if you discover the cave, or if you go into the cave. And you only have to roll 1 die if you attempt to open the Portal of Power by craft. 2 dice in the mines, and you're unaffected by the maze. So our suite of skills there is fairly comprehensive, except that we don't have any combat skills, which could be an issue. The closest we have is evading creatures and other characters in the hills, which is an important ability to have. So we can escape from unwanted combat as long as we're on a hill space. Now, look at the stats here. The Minstrel has Strength 2, Craft 4. The Monk has Strength 2, Craft 3. And the Druid has 2 and 4. So we have very non-combat or non-physical characters in this game. We are the physically strongest character with 3. And we have the same craft as the Monk. In fact, we're pretty much an all-rounder. 3 and 3 is basically middle of the road. We have a lot of lives. 5 lives. We start with more lives than any of the other characters. And we start with 5 fate points, which is really good. The others also have several, but if you remember from the last time, the warrior started with 1 fate point, which really limited how much we could re-roll. So I feel like we've actually got a pretty solid character here. He isn't strong, but he also isn't weak in either of the main stats. He has plenty of lives and plenty of fate points, and a handy combat evasion skill. So, analysis over, let's get started. We're at first, let's roll. 4. Okay. So, yes, apparently it's decided to give us tutorial messages. There must have been an update or something, I guess. So, we can either go to the city, in which case we could go to the Enchantress. We couldn't go to the Doctor because we haven't been hurt, and we don't have anything to see the Alchemist about, so I'd guess not. Or we could go here and draw a card, so let's do that. Seems like the way. Alright. Yes, alright, thank you. That was just gold. We found a pile of gold knocking around on the floor. Not a bad find, but nothing exciting. End of the turn, I guess. So, Minstrel's up next. They're both draw card spaces. And he's come across the Enchanter. Not entirely sure what that does. Looks like it caused him to draw a spell, so that's alright. The Minstrel is good, so he will have beneficial good alignment effects from certain encounters. The monk has to fight a bear, which is actually stronger than him, but the monk... Yeah, I was going to say, the monk has that ability, doesn't he? From the start of the game. If you remember from the previous time we encountered the monk, he permanently has an ability that otherwise is a spell effect, where he can add his strength to his craft in combat. The temporal warp spell will allow the druid to take 3 turns in rapid succession, if you remember from when we had it in the last game. Landing on the woods, he gets to draw his full complement of spells, which is 2. But he also encounters a bandit. And the minstrels just cast Nullify, which means the druid isn't going to be able to cast spells or use magic objects. In fact, I think no one can, until the minstrel's turn comes up again. So it's actually weird timing for the minstrel to cast that, because it only has effect on the druid's turn and mine, because he cast it so late in the cycle. Anyway, the druid lost a life to the bandit. Maybe should have paid him off. But he gets 2 more turns here. Let's see what he does. Obviously that's a draw card space. An ogre! Oh, he's doing badly with the combats here. And because I'm commenting in detail on all these other people's turns, I'm starting to feel like a StarCraft caster. If anyone has a Talisman casting job going, let me know. I think the druid still has 1 more turn here, so... Yeah, obviously he'll roll, and he's faced with 2 possible options. At the moment his alignment is neutral, so he wouldn't really have gained from going to the cemetery. So, going to... What's that over there? Is that the crags? Yeah. Not a bad choice. But a little too hazardous. I wouldn't have chosen the crags, unless I was good and faced taking damage in the graveyard. Okay, so we've got a 2, and there's the cemetery. Go away! That's an option on our move. But we are neutral, so we don't really have any effect there. We can replenish fate up to maximum at the cost of 1 gold each. Not sure quite how that works in a cemetery, but okay. Or we could go to the chapel and regain life at the cost of a gold each. We could use a fate point to re-roll this admittedly fairly crappy roll here, but I'm not going to bother. I'll just pick one of these 2 spaces. Doesn't really make a great deal of difference. So, on the alignment front, we have the Dwarf, that's us, obviously, and the Druid, both neutral, and then we have the Monk and the Minstrel, both good. We don't have any evil characters this time. But the Druid, as you may remember from reading his character card, can change his alignment at will. But it's not that he's alignment free. He can't just wander around using up all the alignment effects as and when he encounters them. He has to consciously choose to change his alignment. Weird effect for a druid, but... I mean, I don't see what the logic is in terms of a druid having this ability, but it's an interesting gameplay mechanic at least. I'm going to have a swig of coffee while the druid takes his next 1. Not usually a coffee drinker, but I am today. So he just found some gold lying around in the fields, and... What, he gets another turn? He didn't cast Temporal Warp again, did... Huh? Is there Grim Reaper on the board? What happened there? Did I just completely miss that? That's bizarre. Okay. After I finished recording this, I'm going to have to go back and watch what happened there, because I completely missed it. Let's roll. 2, alright. So we could go back to the Sentinel space, or we could go to the village. In the village, we don't have... Oh no, we do have enough gold to go to the blacksmith. But if I'm going to go and buy something from the blacksmith, I'd like to buy an axe, so I have raft building ability. But I guess with 2 gold, we could get a helmet or a sword. You know, I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy a sword to give us that that extra combat ability, because we only have 3 strength, so the extra point that a sword will give us could make the difference between life and death. So the minstrel drew evil darkness. Anyone who's not evil misses a turn, which is all of us. And he's going to go through the portal. I would have thought that evil darkness would prevent him doing that. I thought that was the deal with evil darkness. It prevents you finishing your turn. But never mind. It's clearly not the case here. Monk rolled a 6. What's he drawing? He's drawing a wild boar. He's getting a lot of fights, but at least this one's only strength 1, so he shouldn't have any problem with it, really. Yeah. Easy as pie. And he's going to keep that as a trophy, of course, towards a strength increase. Druid rolls another 1. Oh, and he's changing his alignment before he moves. So he's going to change to good and then go to the chapel, which is a pretty good choice, actually. Because that enables him to be healed for free. Remember, he lost a life in combat. So the free heal was actually quite a good play. I'm impressed. Okay, so 2. We seem to be rolling a lot of lows at the moment. There's no point going to the graveyard, really. What's this? Forest. We could have a fight. We could lose a turn. We could gain a craft, but it's a long shot. Let's give it a try, because the graveyard has absolutely no effect. At least we can benefit from this. And we did! We actually gained a craft. So, that's a pretty good outcome, really. We've actually gained a stat boost. The minstrel is going back to the rune... Is it runes? Ruins. I think runes is a middle region space. He's going through the magic portal again, and it's taking him to the village this time. Okay, go to the mystic and gain a craft. You bastard. I felt special because I had a craft increase, but you've got one too. You already had pretty decent craft. Monk's going to draw a card, of course. Sorcerer. I think you get to buy spells from him. But maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I'll have a look in a minute when the druid's finished his turn. Did he cast immobility on the sentinel? That's a weird choice. Means he's going into the middle region. Or he's just walking past. I guess that's another example of the way the AI is a little bit buggered in some ways. If he's going to cast immobility on the sentinel, then he should go into the middle region. After his impressive choice to change his alignment and be healed at the chapel, I'm a little disappointed to see him revert to idiocy for the next turn. Okay, so 1. We're able to evade enemies and hills, but we don't have hills to either side of us here, so I guess just go to the plains and have a draw. And we've just found a sword immediately after buying one. Might as well take it, even though it's no use. We might get a chance to go to the alchemist and have it turned into gold. I have another turn? Apparently. Oh, does someone roll? I think someone rolls to move the Grim Reaper there. This is very odd. I wish I'd seen what happened there. I will definitely have to watch that back the next time. I don't really care which space he goes on to, so I suppose I'll move him on there. Is it my choice? Looks like it should be. Can you move? Please? Okay. Apparently you have to double click instead of the usual thing. Okay, so he found a follower. A pretty good follower. The gnome gives you evasion in certain locations, though I forget which. The monk found a water bottle. Not a brilliant item except in certain situations. Basically, if you land in the desert. So it's a nice one to have if you have plenty of space in your item slots. Oh, Druid's picked up a hag, which means he has to lose any other followers, and he won't be able to pick up any further followers until he's got rid of the hag. What's this sort of noose/key symbol on the left? I didn't remember that from before. Oh, that just zooms in on us. Oh, it's a magnifying glass. Huh. I didn't remember that being there before. I guess this has been updated, probably. So, 5. Back to the graveyard again. Someone really wants us to go to the graveyard. But let's go to the woods instead. And we've got a magic belt. Add 1 to your strength. Good find. We are getting close to our item limit, though, which is frustrating. Mule would be good, but as you'll know if you've watched the previous episodes, we tend not to do very well in finding the mule. Oh, Book of Spells. Good find. Lets him take spells up to his maximum. Not as good as the wand, though, which has you always having a minimum of 1 spell. Don't cast it on me. Don't... You bastard. Alright. So, we have to roll a die to see what effect the random spell will have. Hopefully we get either 5 or 6, because anything less than that is bad. 5! Gain 1 strength. Very nice. So, he cast random on us and actually benefited us. So we're now up to 5 and 4 in strength and craft, which is pretty good. I mean, it's not enough to take on the inner region yet, but it leaves us in a fairly solid position for battles and the like. Our craft still isn't high enough for us to get out of the maze, but I believe the maze doesn't affect us, remembering the dwarf's special abilities. So that's not a big deal. Druid found a guide who's a follower, but he can't take the follower because he still has the hag. I think to get rid of the hag you have to go to the mystic in the village. I'm just going to check that. Yes, you may have no other follower until you rid yourself of the hag by visiting the village mystic, even if he ignores you. Fine. So, let's roll. And we've got a 5, which takes us to fields or plains. Doesn't really make a huge difference. So let's go to fields. And what have we got? A raft. So, we could raft over into the middle region. Let's leave it. Because I don't know what the deal is with this Grim Reaper thing that's going on in the middle region. I don't remember ever seeing that before, and again, I wasn't paying attention when that occurred, so I don't really know what the score is there. So I feel like it's premature to head into the middle region at this point. Of course, the raft, unlike most objects, can't be discarded for someone else to pick up later. If you drop it, it disappears. Apparently, rafts decompose extremely quickly. So, the minstrel is going to head over to the sorcerer, where he can buy spells for a gold each. Not a bad choice. I would do the same in his position. Of course, with our current craft of 4, we actually have the space for 2 spells. We're crafty enough for that. But we haven't actually run into any yet, which is a little frustrating. Spells do give you the ability to influence game flow and the outcome of events in a positive way, rather than relying solely on the die. Alright, what have we got down here? That is the ogre, strength of 5. We'd have 6, taking into account our sword. But still pretty even. So it wouldn't be my first choice. Okay, let's go over here and draw a card from this man sitting in a cage. That's pretty grim, actually. They've strung him up in a cage right outside a pub. Ugh, just to taunt him. Okay, Potion of Strength. Our pockets are now full. We're not going to be able to pick up another item. This is usable once and increases our strength by 2 until the end of the turn. Sounds like you can probably draw it at any time. or drink it at any time. So the logical choice of occasion really would be if you're getting dragged into combat. Okay, Minstrel cast Destruction on a goblin who's sitting on the board somewhere, so the goblin's gone. One of the stronger enemies would have made more sense, the ogre, maybe. Minstrel's now drawn a hobgoblin. Ooh, and a low roll as well. You might still get lucky. No. Unfortunately, the hobgoblin doesn't count as an enemy, so the minstrel wasn't able to charm him as a follower. Or indeed evade him. Okay, Monk's got a 5. He could go and attack the minstrel. Is he going to? No, he's going to fight the hobgoblin. Not bad, actually, because with the monk's ability to combine his strength and craft for combat, he's actually a pretty strong fighter. However, they just drew, thanks to the hobgoblin's lucky roll there. The druid is still good after he changed specially to go to the chapel. He hasn't changed again yet. What's he going to roll at the mystic? Become good. Well, he's already good, and even if he wasn't, he could change back at will, so that's kind of redundant with the druid. Unless he was already carrying a rune sword or something like that, in which case that would have been unfortunate. Okay, got a 6. Not a big deal. It's no better inherently than any other roll. The guide, you don't have to roll in the chasm, crags or forest. Now, we already don't have to roll in the chasm or crags, thanks to our innate dwarf power. But it's either that or the ogre. Plus, the guide gives us the additional ability to avoid having to roll when we're in the forest, which we don't already have. So let's take him and end our turn. Okay. Oh, the minstrel drew the wand! He's having all the luck with the magic. He got the book of spells and now he's got the wand. I might... If I roll a number that will land me on his space, I might try to mug him for the wand. As we did with the priest in one of the previous episodes. I do like the wand. I would have to leave my sword behind. My second sword, that is. So I'd like to offload that as soon as possible, really. If I have the chance to go to the village and have it turned into gold, I'll do so. Or if I pick up the alchemist follower, of course. Very handy, because then you can offload any unwanted items at any time. The druid is picking up a lot of spells, thanks to his ability of landing on the woods and drawing spells. Okay, Bandit didn't quite overcome the druid. He should be embarrassed about that. And the druid will now lug around his corpse for a strength bonus. I like to imagine that that the characters are actually physically carrying the corpses of their enemies over their shoulder. 3 isn't exciting. We will, however, go to the ruins because it's a nice draw 2 card space. I'm not really bothered about going through the magic portal, but I'll have a look when we're there. What are we going to draw here? Mephistopheles. If you're evil, gain a craft. If you're good or neutral, he converts you to evil. So, we are now an evil dwarf. Not a problem. It means we won't be able to go unharmed in the chapel anymore, and there's some items we won't be able to take, like the Holy Grail, but it's not too severe an affliction. So, he's changed this to evil, and the magic portal. So, we don't have to go through, but we can. And I think we might as well, because if we roll a 2, it'll take us to the village, and then we can visit the alchemist. Because although you've already encountered this space, you will also encounter the space that you land on when you pass through the portal. So, let's give it a go. 3, city. Not what I was looking for, really. But what can we do here? Okay, we could go to the enchantress. Oh, wait! The city's where the alchemist is, not the village. That is actually perfect. My mistake. Worked out well in the end. So let's have one of our swords turned into gold. Good. That frees up our slot. Remember that we can only carry a maximum of 4 objects without the benefit of a mule. So that second redundant sword... well, I suppose the first redundant sword, but that second sword, which was redundant, is now gone. And we have an extra space handy. It's all about the commas. That second comma, redundant comma, sword. Makes a lot more sense written down. Anyway, punctuation aside, it's the minstrel's turn. Sensible choice. I mean, he could have gone and bought another spell, but it would have been his last gold, I guess. When did the minstrel get up to 6 crafts? That's intimidating. That means he can have 3 spells. Which is the most anyone can have at one time. Okay, Monk is taking on the Hobgoblin again. Clearly he's feeling brave even after his earlier defeat. I'm not even touching the mouse or anything at this point. I do feel like I'm just commentating on a game that I'm watching rather than participating in. Okay, Monk is going to trade his trophies for a strength upgrade, which is fine. But notice that I don't think we've had a single combat yet. So, although we've done quite well with items and a few stat boosts, if we don't start getting some fights, we might begin to lag behind in the stat gains. In fact, we haven't had many encounters at all, really. Okay, let's roll. Got a 5. Again, neither of these are hills, so we won't be able to evade any combats. But we probably shouldn't anyway, having just said that we need one. Okay, Ghost. That, unfortunately, is psychic combat. But, on the bright side, it appears on a different space, not this one. So we have to roll to see where it's going to appear. And it's a 3, which is the graveyard. Could be an issue, because now we're evil, the graveyard is actually a beneficial place for us to go and pray for a boon, but never mind, eh? We'll deal with that if it arises. Another guide has popped out of the deck. I thought there was only one of each follower, but clearly I'm mistaken. So the minstrel's got a guide as well, but that's okay. Doesn't directly impact us. What's the monk going to draw? Raiders! Unlucky! Take all his gold, stash them at the oasis. Stash it at the oasis. But, judging by the fact that there actually isn't any gold at the oasis now, I assume the monk was empty of pocket anyway. So actually, really, that's the best time to draw the raiders. Because they won't have any effect on you. Ineffective raiders, robbing someone who doesn't have any money. Okay, druid versus serpent. The druid should win it, really. And he does. Okay. So, we're up next. Oh, he's trading in his trophies first. See, I feel like we're starting to get behind. Simply because we don't have any trophies to trade. So, we could march over here and attack the druid. Does he have anything that's worth robbing him for? No. He doesn't have any objects, so we'd just be taking a life from him. Not a bad choice, but I don't really care enough to do that. So, I mean, we could just go to that space and then counter the space anyway. Actually, that's probably a better choice. Because if we go to the woods, we can use our guide follower to evade any unwanted combat. Like if we draw a dragon or something. So let's do that. Encounter space. And draw a card. That couldn't have been any neater, really, could it? We should be able to evade when we encounter this. No? Why can we not evade? Oh! My mistake. I was thinking of the pixie. Damn! He doesn't let us evade in the woods. Well, anyway. We do at least have our strength potion. It might be overkill, because we have 6 total anyway. But I feel like the extra 2 bonus is probably worthwhile. So let's use that. And roll. 5. Okay. Yeah, we win. Not by a huge margin, though. So, actually, had we rolled the same rolls and not used the strength potion, that would have been a draw. Now, because that was a 7 strength enemy, we can trade him in straight away for a strength gain, which is nice. Bing! Immediately after saying that we are getting behind in the stat gains, we get a stat gain. So we're now 6-4, which is pretty good. I mean, that is a solid strength. Not overwhelming, but definitely a respectable one, particularly when you add one to it with the sword. Oh god, I hope that didn't happen. I apologise if I went a bit quiet there. Hopefully I didn't, but I noticed that my microphone sort of sagged and may have been pointing away from me for the last few minutes. If so, I apologise. Stay still, you stupid piece of crap. Okay. Blue Snowball has a weak neck, as it turns out. Right, so we're back to the druid. He's rolling a 6. What's he going to do? Phantom. And he's going to change his alignment to evil right now so that he can benefit from the Phantom. Good choice. Good choice. And he gains another spell. The druid has all the spells. On that note, I think we're going to call it a day for now. Thanks for watching, as always. Oh, the Grim Reaper's moved into the outer region. That's terrifying. In any case, thanks for watching. Rejoin me the next time, and we'll see how Talisman unfolds. And maybe we'll even be able to find out what the deal is with that Grim Reaper. I'm now off to re-watch this recording and see if I can work out how he came into existence. So, until next time, bye for now.